Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. Speaking of friends, I got two of my friends here with me tonight doing the first look. Johnny Danger and Trevor Hillstrom. Trust in Trevor. Guys, Danger in our what should we call it, our friends and family league?
Yeah,
Trevor and I were just talking. Somebody put up, what, 240 or 220?
Hold on, I feel left out. Everybody else has
240.18.
What was that?
240.18.
240.18. Would that have won the million?
No. It did not. He was in that. I think he won 10 grand in the million.
Yeah.
What place did he come in?
I wasn't in that contest, so I didn't see. But
fifth, I believe it was fifth.
Fifth place.
Isn't that crazy? They go from $1 million to 10K.
That was fifth or seventh.
But I think the 197 that he took home is making him a happy man this week.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping to make somebody out there a millionaire with our wonderful advice, right, Trevor? We've been pretty good on this show. Surprisingly good.
Oh, we've been good.
Yeah. All right, so let's kick it off, guys. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Let's take a look at the quarterback position. It all starts out with Jalen Hurts against Dallas, Josh Allen against Indianapolis, Jaden Daniels against Pittsburgh. And then there's some cheap guys, whether it's Cooper Rush, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence. Danger, let me start with this. I had a really good lineup last week. I put up like 177 points with Gardner Minshew. Mm-hmm. This tells me I think I want to be building cheap quarterback.
No.
If I can. If I can, Trevor. If.
Go ahead, Trevor. You got an opinion.
What do you think this year? What do you think this week? Can I do that or no?
I think you can. I like Lawrence against the Vikings. I think that's going to be a high scoring game. So I think you can pay down there. He's the main guy I'm looking at for the pay downs at quarterback. Wilson's okay. Aaron Rodgers pops up a little bit for me for the pay down guys. And, for the spend up guy, I'm going to go with Josh Allen over Hurts. I think Allen's just in a great spot. This could be a 30-plus point week for him.
Now, you're my resident Vikings expert.
Yeah.
Why is Lawrence going to all of a sudden have a good week against the Vikings, who put a lot of pressure on him?
I don't think the Vikings pressure hasn't been as good as it's in the last 3 weeks. It just hasn't. If he can get time, I think their receivers can. Ingram is a mismatch against the Vikings, and I think Thomas is a mismatch against the Vikings. If he plays, I think he's going to play. I just think it's a high-scoring game. I don't think the Vikings can defend the pass. If they don't get pass rush, they're going to get cooked. They're going to give up 250-plus yards.
Danger. Do you agree with Trevor about Lawrence? Do you like Josh Allen? I love Josh Allen against the Colts. This feels like a Josh Allen layup week.
I don't really like Lawrence at all, but I do like Sam Darnold. I got Sam Darnold as my number 4 ranked quarterback on the week at 6,200, and early projections have him as a bottom 5 owned quarterback.
It's funny, when I did my first lineup in the Friends and Family, Darnold was my guy. I started with Darnold, but
I started with Darnold and I switched over to Aaron Rodgers because I liked that build. Looked really nice to me.
It's funny you said that too, because I think Rodgers is the other smart build, but nobody's going up, right? Mm-hmm. As Trevor said, Josh Allen is a great play this week, but nobody wants to pay up because we saw somebody win $1 million with Geno Smith. So who do the Sims have as like their top 5 guys?
Right now, the top 5 projected, just ceiling plays. Daniels, Brock Purdy, but also is the highest owned at the moment. Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen.
So, Trevor, let me ask you about Jaden Daniels. Playing Pittsburgh, that doesn't seem like a great matchup to me.
No, it don't. You're going to have to rely totally on the running ability with him. He's going to have to rush for 70 yards and a touchdown just to be in the equation. And he can do it.
Can we make any heads or tails of Jalen Hurts or Cooper Rush in that game?
It depends on Lamb. Is Lamb going to play? I think Lamb will probably play. And if Lamb plays, then I have some interest in Rush. Hurts is in a good spot, but I think it's going to be a Barkley week.
But that's okay, because I think we've seen it. We talked about it last Wednesday, Doc and Trev, when you said, what do you think about this game? I say you play Hurts and Barkley and don't even worry about running back. And those two scored, didn't need a third piece and didn't need a run back.
Right. Well, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Would you double stack him? Do you need to? I'm thinking that the easiest play in the world is just go Rodgers, Wilson, Devontae Adams, and we'll figure it out later.
I agree. I mean, I don't think the projections aren't great on Rodgers, but the thing is Mike Williams is gone. Lazard is hurt. They haven't been going to the tight end. So it's just those two guys. And if you play those three guys together, you're looking at 60 points easy, right?
Right. You should be right. You should be there. You're paying a little bit for Garrett Wilson and Adams, though. You're paying up a lot.
We are.
Even though Rodgers is cheap, you are paying a premium. Trevor, I don't want to get to the receivers yet. Let's finish up with the quarterbacks. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence. You mentioned Josh Allen. What about Brock Purdy, who I think is in a really, really good spot? Do you care about ownership? Because Swami always says on Friday, I don't care about ownership. I care about points.
Yeah, I don't care so much. If the matchup is good, I'm not really worried about the ownership as much. Yeah, Purdy has some appeal to me. For some reason, I have a bias where I don't play him. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't worry about ownership a huge amount. What I get worried about is when you see like a free square, right? That's like 40 or 50% owned and the projections are bad. Then I got to stay away from that. But, even with it only being a 10-game slate, I mean, Purdy right now in projections is the highest owned, but it's like 10.5%. That's not enough to make you think twice about it. And if CMC's back healthy, I mean, that's a situation where he's going to dump off a ton.
The thing about quarterback ownership too is that you never really see it at 20%. You'll see the other position players where they're 20, 30%, but the quarterbacks, the highest you're going to see is 15%. Sometimes when you only have 10 games like we have, you'll see in the 19% range, but I don't think there's going to be anybody that highly owned where you're worried about the ownership.
All right, let's head to running back, guys. I don't think people want to pay up for running backs. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm delusional. But, you have Barkley at 8,300. And look, I know we said in Discord, did I not say Derrick Henry was a great play? Said Derrick Henry was a great play. I feel Barkley's that same thing this week. People don't want to pay full value when they could save a few $100 and get a Bijan or get a Jonathan Taylor or get a Breece Hall. And then we drop off to the Aaron Jones and James Conner, DeAndre Swift. Trevor, where are you starting your lineups this week?
I think I'm starting with Saquon Barkley. Dallas can't stop the run at all. I think there's going to be a good game for Barkley where he could get 2 touchdowns. That's where I'm starting it. And I'm going to go be a homer and go with Aaron Jones. I think the Vikings are really going to try to run the football against the Jaguars too. So that's probably one reason why I'm not on Darnold as much. But then again, the Vikings, it doesn't matter about their run matchup. They're still going to throw the football.
Yeah.
What do you think, Danger? Is Saquon in your plans?
Absolutely. I've been doing pretty well this year doing quarterback and running back on a team. It's been working. It's been okay in the right situations. I think that's another one where you've got a pretty good tier in Minnesota where you can play Darnold, you can play Justin Jefferson, and you can play Aaron Jones together.
Is the chalkiest guy of the week going to be DeAndre Swift, Danger, in this matchup against New England where everybody feasts against New England?
I mean, maybe. Early returns are not saying that right now. Early returns are saying Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Jones.
Trevor, I know you said you're paying for Aaron Jones. Are you paying for Christian McCaffrey?
No, I'm not, because I don't know how much volume he's going to get. I just don't. Is he going to get full volume? Or are they just going to ease him in? So I don't know.
Full volume.
Well, if he's full volume, then you have to have some interest.
What makes you say that, Danger? I mean, you're a 49er guy, but what makes you say that?
Just go back and look at like the last 4 years of game logs from the 49ers. They don't share the ball. Whoever is there gets the ball. They don't play the game. They don't split carries. The only time McCaffrey ever got rest is when he was dinged up or needed a breather from a long run. I think if they've got him out there, he's 100%.
Now, Tampa we should expect a lot of dump offs, right? He's not going to run for a ton, right? I mean, was we talking about 12 for 50, but he could have 6 for 50 receiving.
Yeah.
So the numbers I just gave you there, 6 for 50 is 11, and another 5 is 16. Does he find the end zone? And if he does, and he gets us 22 at 8K, that's only he's not winning me a tournament danger.
No, and he's going to be 25% owned. People are all in on him. I mean, I've already heard the chatter. If he's in, I'm not worried about him splitting carries. I'm worried about the injury flaring up at halftime.
Yeah,
after he gets all warmed up and then goes and sits down. Also, I only have him projected at 0.7 touchdowns. So, I don't know, man. I think he's going to get the ball, but I don't think he's going to pay off his $8,000 price tag.
I would say if he's a full, he's going to score. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any way around it. He's not scoring against Tampa if he's truly going to get full volume.
Are we overlooking Jonathan Taylor at home against a Buffalo Bills defense that has been very suspect, Trevor? I kind of like Taylor a little bit.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, you look last week, they didn't really give him the ball much. Well, they were playing the Vikings, which was a much better run defense than Buffalo. So yeah, this is the time to use Taylor. I mean, if Indianapolis wants to win games and their offense improve, I mean, Flacco looked horrible last week. I think, they need to get Taylor involved in their offense.
Danger. Who are the Sims liking? Who are they trusting?
Well, they have the highest leverage score going again to Alvin Kamara. Now, it burned us 2 weeks ago, but paid off very nicely if you got him on the under 10% owned last week. They like Barkley, not shocking. They like Joe Mixon a lot, which I think is interesting because
it's not on the main slate.
Yes, it is. Did they move
sure
it?
Aren't they? They're the FanDuel.
You're right. They're the 8:00 game, but it's listed on the main slate here.
Oh, that's a FanDuel.
It's a FanDuel. You're right.
Yeah,
I'm on the FanDuel setting. Correct. They do like Joe Mixon, which I was a little surprised by because of playing against Detroit. But if you go back and look, Detroit has been giving points up to running backs. It might not be a ton of rushing yards, but they've been giving up points. But it is back on also the Tony Pollard. It likes J.K. Dobbins.
Well, it's funny. I was very impressed, guys, with the Chargers defense last week. I thought they suffocated Cleveland, and if it wasn't for some late, Cedric Tillman heroics, Cleveland did nothing. I don't know how Tennessee scores this week. I don't know. I don't see it.
Me either.
Yeah, you can tell me Pollard all you want. I don't like it.
I mean, I didn't know this till I saw somebody type it into Twitter, and then I looked it up. But Tony Pollard is behind only Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's looked great this year.
It's crazy. I don't think about him at all. I don't have a piece of him in any of my fantasy leagues, and I don't think about him at all.
Let me give you one more guy who's on the cheaper end, Trevor. Rico Dowdle. He played really well last week. Dallas has nothing. Is he a guy? And Mike and McCarthy basically said, we got to give him the football. 6,100, can you get behind it?
I mean, I can get behind it because I play a lot of lineups, but if I'm playing 3, he's out. He's going to have to catch a lot of passes. And he can. He'll catch a few, but.
I mean, it's quite possible. I mean, they're going to get absolutely blown up by Philadelphia. They got Cooper Rush probably starting. We might see Lamb sit out. I mean, who else is going to get the ball there? I mean, they brought in Mingo. Come on.
If Lamb is out, then I have a lot more interest in Dowdle.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. All right, let's get to speaking of Lamb, let's get to those wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is 8,800. A.J. Brown is 82. Devonta Smith, 78. Terry McLaurin in a really tough matchup is at 73. You got the Jets guys at 72. Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams at 7,000. And then Deebo Samuel, Pickens, Drake London. Danger, when I look at this, A.J. Brown, I don't know if he's playing. I don't know whether Lamb is playing. I don't know whether Deebo is playing. I don't know whether Drake London is playing. I don't know whether Amari Cooper's playing. I don't know who's playing.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
As of now, I am digging those Atlanta wide receivers again with Mooney and maybe a little Ray again. I mean, if Ray puts up 13, 14 points again, that continues to pay off and nobody's playing him. This is really kind of why I switched over to Aaron Rodgers when I started goofing off with the with my lineup in our friends and family league, is because Garrett Wilson rates out so well. And I just, you're right. It's just a disaster of those top end guys with injuries this week.
Trevor, Ray may be a lock for me. New Orleans against slot receivers, not good.
Yeah, he's definitely worth a play. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Cousins is looking great.
And Lattimore is out of town.
Yep, he's gone. So
is there another high-end guy that you're looking at, Trevor, where you're saying, are you looking at Jefferson? Are you looking at, you mentioned Brian Thomas before. I love Brian Thomas. Are you paying for him? What are you thinking?
I'm paying for Thomas. There's no doubt about it. If I'm going to be playing Lawrence, I'm going to be playing Thomas. They have to go together. I do like Addison again this week. I know I've been on Addison a few times. The guy's open. Darnold just needs to throw it to him. The guy is getting open. And I told you last week that Addison was a little bit squeaky, and I think he got three catches right, and he got a touchdown. And on that interception, I don't know if you've seen that interception that Darnold threw to triple covers of Jefferson. I mean, Addison's wide open down the middle of the field. He could have had a 50-some yard touchdown. So I think that they look at the tape. I think Addison's going to get more involved. And he's cheap. I mean, he has to score, though, so that does play a risk. But all these players are kind of risky. So I like Pickens, Thomas, Mooney. Mooney's been great.
Danger, that Atlanta-New Orleans game, I think that could be higher scoring than people are giving it credit for. And I'm actually pretty good if Drake London doesn't play. I'd be in on Mooney. I'd be in on Ray. I'd be in on Pitts. It's just a concentrated, route trick.
Yeah, I think they look really good. And I think this is a game that you're going to see Alvin Kamara shine, because if they have Olave out and, Derek Carr is going for the all-time record of losses for a starting quarterback. I mean, every time Kamara touches the ball 30 times, that, they put up points, right? And I think that this is a 30-touch game for him. And I think we can go right back to Taysom Hill in that game. And then I don't want you to forget about how bad Flacco made us kind of look Sunday morning in all of our advice, Doc, but I'm not afraid to go back to Josh Downs this week.
No, I think Josh Downs is a great play. I mean, that's flop leg all over the place. I mean, we all love Josh Downs, and now we don't. I think, would I run a Flacco, Taylor, Downs? Probably not. But, I could one off here and one off there. Mm-hmm. Trevor, let's get back to running back for a second. I just want to stay to Kamara. Olave, I can't imagine Olave's playing.
No way.
Bud Means is out. All these guys are out. Do you play a Cedric Wilson? Do you play a Juwan Johnson? Or do you just go an MVS maybe makes a play? Or do you just play Kamara and bite the bullet on it?
I think you just play Kamara and bite the bullet on it. Yeah, that's the way I'm looking at that.
Danger, who are some of the cheaper receivers that are popping in your models?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me. I love that question. Oddly enough, do you know who pops the top leverage score of the week? Sterling Shepard. I haven't quite figured that out. The 49ers are coming off a break. They signed some veterans that had played for them before back to their defense. They bolstered a little bit here. I don't know about that, but it's popping in the model, and I tend to be trusting my model this year. It's not been awful. So we've got that. We've got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine again. I said I liked him last week. He put up just enough points to make it worth your while if you did that. Josh Downs at 6,200. I know it's not super cheap, but that's one of the highest leverage plays there. And Cortland Sutton pops a ton against Kansas City.
Interesting. Shepard makes sense because he did get the most looks. And if McMillan is out, right, he's definitely the number one there. It's not Trey Palmer. It's not Raheem Jarrett. It's not not Ryan Miller. Certainly Shepard, who they used on end arounds. They were using him to run. I mean, it was things that we didn't expect. Trevor, do you like that San Francisco-Tampa Bay game? You can't really run on Tampa Bay. I mentioned that Patrick Mahomes was going to throw for close to 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Why isn't Brock Purdy going to do the same?
Well, I just don't know about his receiving situation. Is Jennings playing? Is Debo playing? I mean, Kittle's probably a good play. Yeah, he could definitely throw for 300 yards. There's no doubt about it. I mean, 303 touchdowns. I mean, he should be considered in your lineups.
Mm-hmm. A couple of guys too. I want to talk about. I think we were a week late on Parker Washington. I think he can make a play this week.
Hold on a second. How is Minnesota against slot cornerbacks, Trevor?
They're not good against any receiver if as long as Lawrence gets time. I mean, the Vikings won't cover. They won't cover him.
And I think you've got Noah Brown, who's the real number 2 now in Washington at 4,300.
Now that's interesting because Pittsburgh's second cornerback is not good, right? Not good at all. So the question is, people are looking at McLaurin. I don't want anybody with Joey Porter. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to bench McLaurin, but I feel like I might have to this week.
What about the Buffalo receivers? I mean, doesn't somebody have to pop from them? I mean, Shakir, Cooper. As Cooper might not play. If he's out, I love Shakir.
And Dalton Kincaid should pop. I mean, Indianapolis.
Yes, he's
tight end bad.
Hey, on the other side of that Washington game, Calvin Austin's been kind of intriguing me. Super cheap, 3,500.
All right, let me ask you this: does Mike Williams play in his first game with the team?
He'd probably get a few snaps for sure. I mean, I don't think they wouldn't put him out there a little bit because they don't have great second receivers. What the heck? Just tell them what route to run and run it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, the Parker Washington thing is interesting, Danger, because everybody liked him last week, and now all of a sudden, maybe he does something.
Flop lag, I'm telling you.
I like it. All right, let's head to tight end. So I think the value is a tight end. I think double tight end this week makes a whole lot of sense to me. I can picture it. We mentioned Kittle. We didn't talk Cade Otton, but we probably should. We've mentioned Ingram. We just talked about Kincaid. Kyle Pitts. TJ Hawkinson against Jacksonville's poor secondary. This feels like a TJ Hawkinson week. Trevor, would you run out 2 tight ends there?
Sure. That's where, like you said, that's where the value is going to be. We have 2 tight ends that could put up 20 points. You're getting them at 5,000. Good luck finding a receiver at 5,000. That's going to get you 20 points. So yeah, you can definitely play 2 tight ends. I like Hawkinson. They used Oliver a lot last week. I think they'll shy away from that this week and get TJ more catches. But yeah, you got Ingram, you got Kincaid, you got Hawkinson. All those guys you mentioned, I think you could use as double tight end and flex.
Danger, let me ask you a question about roster construction, okay?
Sure.
Let's say Trevor and I are right, and we play 2 tight ends. And both our tight ends put up 16 points each, okay? Is that taking down a tournament with 16? Don't I feel like I need 25? Like 16 is enough to cash. I may get a green screen, but I'm not your rich friend.
Well, I mean, if you're putting up 2 guys in the one in the 4,000, one in the 5,000, let's say that's $9,000. So you put up 32 with $9,000, and it allows you to pay for a guy like Justin Jefferson or Barkley in your lineup because you didn't have to play 2 $6,000 wide receivers. I think that's perfectly fine.
You can take down a tournament if they get 16 points, but your other players, your running backs better be the top running backs. Yeah. Your receivers, you better hit.
Your payout better be accurate.
I got to hit, right. That's what I'm saying is like, that's why a lot of people don't want to go with 2 tight ends because they very rarely break 20 points. I mean, I'm going to need Kittle to go, 5 for 60 and a touchdown? I mean, that's a good day, but is that going to take down a tournament day? I don't know.
At 5,800, I mean, he's, like I said, finding a receiver at 5,800 that's going to match that, it's going to be pretty tough.
I think Kittle needs to be my lineup. I think Permar is right.
Yeah. I like Kittle a lot. I think that when you bring back CMC, you don't need Kittle to block as much as you did without him. He runs more routes. 58's a little expensive. That means you really got to get more closer to that 30 than that 20 number out of him. But I don't want to discount Cade Otton though. Again, at 5,500, he's my number 1 projected tight end by points, and I've got him at only 3.5% owned in early projections.
He's been a beast the last 3 weeks.
He's a very good player. You know what? I love guys who are on the field because not only is he a good receiver, he's a good blocker. He's a good player.
Yep.
And And now you got Baker, early in the year when he had the 2 receivers, Baker wasn't using them as much, and now he's got a lot of trust in him. So that helps.
I think what we've seen from Baker, Trevor, is you've seen him transform into a guy buying time to throw deep down the field to a guy just taking the easy play. And the easy play has been K-Dot over and over again.
And how happy is Baker to be out of Cleveland? I mean, he's got to be just happy. I mean, Cleveland just screwed that up. But, if he would have stayed in Cleveland, he might not be the player he is now.
Totally agree with that. Danger, you mentioned Taysom Hill.
Yep.
They need Taysom Hill.
They need him.
They need him. They're lacking guys. They're lacking offensive weapons. They're going to use him in the red zone. We know this. The problem I have with Taysom Hill is the following. He is so touchdown dependent that if he doesn't score, I don't want to say he's worthless, but he's going to catch 3 passes for 20 yards. He's going to run, 3 times for 20 yards. I'm not winning with that. But if he finds the end zone, then he's worth it. Last week, I thought he was a leverage play. This week, I think he's going to be over-owned. What do you think the ownership is on Taysom this week?
I'm looking at it right now. Early ownership's looking at around 3%. I think that goes up a little bit by the end of the week when we find out that Olave's not playing. But the issue with them is every week it's either, Juwan Johnson scores or Foster Moreau scores. But, who knows, man? I mean, I saw that stat with Carr now with his last loss. He's lost to 31 franchises. And then on December 12th or 15th or something, he gets to play the Raiders. And if he loses to the Raiders, he will be the first quarterback in NFL history to lose to all 32 franchises.
Yeah. Last week I lied. I said I'd never play Hill again. And I think I'm going to play some Hill this week.
Yeah.
Just because of the opportunities. Because if the lobby's out, what are they going to do? I mean, Kamara, they have to get him more involved. And I agree with Hunter Henry being valued too.
All right. And Perbar, you're speaking my language there. I've been a Hunter Henry guy for several weeks now, and he hasn't mega paid off yet. But I feel like it's when I was telling you, Doc, every week to play Ertz, and then the one week he finally blew up was good for me. But may look good. And, his stat lines didn't look great because he threw that last, interception at the very end of the game. But
No, I love Hunter Henry. And if you remember last week, why did we like McBride against Chicago? Because they played that zone, and McBride just found his spot in that zone, and he looked great. Why couldn't Hunter Henry do the exact same thing that McBride did? He certainly can.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Eric asked this question, guys. Is Estimate a better stash than Juju Smith-Schuster? Trevor, who are you stashing?
Well, I'm going to stash Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, just because, I think he'll get more volume. I know Estimate is going to be more involved, but they still got Javonte and McLaughlin there. So how much is Estimate really going to get?
I estimate not much.
He's a great dynasty stash. I think they're going to move McLaughlin or Javonte in the offseason. I think you stash him in the dynasty for sure. But
we'll take Javonte in Minnesota because if Jones doesn't come back, we'll take Javonte.
I would think Jones would come back, don't you think?
I would think so. The Vikings are going to have plenty of money to spend, so I would think they're going to keep him. But you never know. Maybe he wants $12 million this year instead of $7 million.
The only problem that people are forgetting about Estimate, tell me, Sean Payton always rotates running backs. He always has. I mean, he was always starting 3 guys. So I don't ever think any of these guys are slam dunk plays. They're just not to me.
I just think Estimate may become, more of a thing maybe 2 years from now, and is Sean Payton still there?
Maybe if they're playing this well.
Yeah, they're playing well now.
Yeah. All right. Danger.
Yeah.
Tipsy pick of the week.
Tipsy pick of the week. I got to go with the leverage score. I looked at it earlier this week, and sometimes when I watch my 49ers, I like to have something on the other side to ease the pain if they lose a game, and it's Sterling Shepard this week at $4,100.
Sterling Shepard. Interesting.
That's my guy.
Trust in Trevor pick of the week.
I'm going Trevor Lawrence. Going with the quarterback.
Really?
Yeah,
Trevor going with Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going with Lawrence against the Vikings. I think he's going to throw for 250 plus, a couple touchdowns. 34-24 type of game, 31-24, something like that.
And don't forget, you asked me for my tipsy pick, though, Doc, not my favorite play.
Well, give me your favorite play then.
Oh, it's Mooney all day long, my friend.
Mooney.
It's funny. I was going to tell you I like Ray McLeod.
I like him too. But, yeah.
A little Cousins with a little Mooney and Ray a little thrown in there. Nothing wrong with that.
The big reason why I like Lawrence too is I think he's going to have a good week, but I can get Barkley and Kamara both in my lineup with him.
Right. Last week's lineup, I can't remember it exactly, but I know I had Bijan and Lamb. I had a lot of guys I could get in because I used Minshew. Right? Minshew opened up the doors to everything. And honestly, had I just played Bryce Young over Minshew, I probably make decent money. I mean, Minshew was god-awful. I mean, the dude put up 6 fantasy points. So I get it, Trevor. I think the key is to find that cheaper quarterback, and maybe it is Lawrence. I mean, if you went Lawrence with Thomas and Ingram, bring it back with Addison, I think it opens a lot of doors for you.
Well, and if you look at the last game that Lawrence played at home was against Green Bay, I think he broke value very well, and Green Bay's got a better pass defense than Minnesota. It's just going to depend on that pass rush.
Does Minnesota not play as well on the road, do you think?
Well, they play much better on turf at home, and they're a speed team. Throughout my whole lifetime, they've struggled on the road on grass. They played a little bit better at times. I mean, they're a better football team than I thought they were going to be, no doubt. So, but I just think that defense has a lot of holes in it. And if you look last week, the game changer was the Vikings were only up 4 points, and Flacco, instead of throwing to a running back that was wide open, would have put them in the red zone. He goes down the field into coverage. It's like the Vikings, you'll find soft spots in the Vikings defense if you get time.
Hey, Doc, what went wrong with our Colts? We were talking about them all Sunday morning, how much we like Flacco over almost all the second-tier quarterbacks, how much we like Downs. I was saying Pittman was ready to just blow up for a game, and they just took a dump on the bed, man.
I think something happened. I don't think Steichen's calling the same games as he was earlier. They're not running as much as I want them to be running. I don't know. Their offense just feels something's just amiss there, right? It just feels wrong.
The problem they had in that game against Minnesota, they couldn't run the ball. And Flacco took a couple of hits early because the Vikings were blitzing, and he looked scared. I mean, once he felt some pressure, I think he was feeling a lot of footsteps that weren't there at times.
I feel like there was some locker room rifts. You got the players that were demanding Richardson get sat, and there was probably other players who were loyal to the starter. And I bet you they just didn't click this week in practice.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Chicago has the same riff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
They are not happy. Even DJ Moore came out and said they don't like Eberflus. They're tired of him. Caleb Williams can't find anybody. The receivers are annoyed because only one receiver each week does something. Kmet, nothing. Keenan Allen, nothing. DJ Moore, nothing. Odunze was good. Other weeks, it's been different guys. That team is a mess right now. I wouldn't shock me to see New England pull off that upset.
Remember when we came off the 2 big Caleb Williams games and we sat right here on the show and I said, what do you think? Do you think Caleb thinks he's good all of a sudden because they played 2 of the worst defenses in the league and he looked good, and then he got too full of himself and then he just fell apart after those 2 games?
Yeah. I mean, there was a play. I don't know whether he was hurt or not, but that DJ Moore, I'm sure you saw it. He just walked off the field.
Mm-hmm.
Dude just walked off the field. I've never seen that before.
Except for Richardson the week before.
Yeah.
But at least he made a good play.
Right.
He deserved to be tired.
Yeah, he was tired. He needed one play off. So
yeah. He says Chicago's going to smash on defense this week, though.
That could be.
I like Chicago's D and DFS. They're the right price.
There's just a lot of dissension there, and I follow the North a lot. I read a lot of this stuff, and it's not pretty there. It's just not. But
bad vibes.
Chicago can only beat bad teams. Yeah. They can't beat a good team. And then watch, they'll beat Minnesota here in a couple of weeks.
All right, so stay with us on Friday night. We've got Friday Night Lights. Saturday morning, I'm on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. And Sunday morning, get into our Discord. We've been giving out winners right and left, and hopefully we'll be giving out winners to you. All right, for Sasha and Trevor and Danger, it's Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care. Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com.